The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus again, in reply to the chief priests and the elders of the people in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be likened to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. He dispatched his servants to summon the invited guests to the feast, but they refused to come. A second time, he sent other servants, saying, 'Tell those invited, behold, I have prepared my banquet. My calves and fattened cattle are killed, and everything is ready. Come to the feast.' Some ignored the invitation and went away, one to his farm, another to his business. The rest laid hold of his servants, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged and sent his troops, destroyed those murderers, and burned their city. Then the king said to his servants, 'The feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy to come. Go out, therefore, into the main roads, and invite to the feast whomever you find.' The servants went out into the streets and gathered all they found, bad and good alike, and the hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in to meet the guest, he saw a man there not dressed in a wedding garment. He said to him, 'My friend, how is it that you came in here without a wedding garment?' But he was reduced to silence. When the king said to his attendants, 'Bind his hands and feet and cast him into the darkness outside, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Many are invited, but few are chosen.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Please be seated.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. The Gospel we read today is indeed very interesting, and then it provides us with many points na po pwedeng panggalingan ng ating pagninilay-nilay. In fact, napakarami na yung punto na pwede nating pag-isipan and how it affects our lives, our own lives. Perhaps we can reflect on God's persistence, no? To invite us to His wedding feast, not once, but twice. So we have a God who is persistent to invite us again and again, offering us chance after chance. So we have a God who doesn't give up on us. Or we can reflect on our own readiness to participate in the banquet. And also, have we made ourselves ready to be part of the kingdom? Or we can perhaps reflect on why there is so much fuss if one is not properly dressed in that wedding banquet. The man with no wedding clothes, and bakit parang ang harsh naman ng kinahinatnan, ano? It was bound and been thrown. Bakit parang ang harsh? Or perhaps we can reflect on the thought on why many are invited and yet few are chosen. Hindi ba pwedeng all? The young ones today would always say, sana all. Hindi ba po pwedeng all? And it makes us think also, ano ba, nasaan ba ako doon? Am I only invited or kasama ako doon sa chosen? So ang daming po pwedeng pagnilay-nilayan. But what I find to be very interesting, and perhaps because of the many things related to this na napapanood natin sa TV, naririnig natin sa mga balita, nababasa natin sa mga dyaryo, na nangyayari hindi lang dito sa Pilipinas, kundi sa buong mundo, ay yung salita ng Master in the Gospel that the feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy to come. Go out, therefore, into the main roads and invite to the feast whomever you find. The command to invite to the feast whomever you find, kahit sinong masalubong ninyo, is indeed very telling and offers a good reminder to us. Una, yung qualification na whomever you find tells of a banquet na hindi exclusive. It tells of a banquet that is open to all. It tells also of a God who is welcoming sa lahat. Diba? Go out into the main roads and invite whomever you find. Invite whomever you find. And why is it very, very important for us today? Sapagkat, I am very sure na ito ay that you encounter here sa maraming balita about a world that is immersed on excluding people because hindi ka pareho ng pananampalataya. Excluding people sapagkat magkaiba yung political affiliation. Dilawan, pulahan, asul. Excluding people on the basis of political affiliation. And we also encounter people who would discriminate because of color, creed, gender, and then belief. Ang dami-daming exclusion. And yet in the gospel that we read today, we hear a God whose command is go out and invite whomever you find along the way. Sana all, and God is telling us, I invited all. Ang ganda, no? Sapagkat, and napaka-relevant, sapagkat we hear in the news about Asian hate. Dahil singkit, Asian hate in a marginalized. We also hear about racism dahil kulay, no? And we hear also people who are being privileged simply because yung kulay, no? Yung pananampalataya. And recently, we heard in the news of Christians about to be executed because they are Christians. We have forgotten the command of the Lord, invite whomever you find along the way, and what it meant to us. To be tolerant with each other's views. Magkakaiba talaga tayo ng pananaw. Magkakaiba talaga tayo ng opinion. And perhaps one of the more important things that we can learn is to agree to disagree. To agree to disagree. And yet we welcome each other's opinions, perspectives, and then voices. Tolerance. And because of the command, invite whoever you find along the way. So my dear friends, expect a very diverse kingdom. The gospel asks us of how welcoming are we, or how tolerant are we with each other. Kaya lang, if you continue reading the gospel, mukhang ironical that if you read through the gospel, you also find a master who was mad simply because someone is not properly dressed. He was insulted. This too is very interesting because we encounter a God who is insulted. And insulted by what? And how? Insulted because those who eventually agreed to attend the wedding banquet, were all provided with clothing to wear in attending the wedding banquet. In other words, we were all given something at the very start. Gifts, talents, and skills. It is in us. So that when we return and attend the wedding banquet, we have something to present. We will be presentable. The man who attended the wedding banquet insulted the master by simply going there and without even making any effort to improve himself. In other words, he did not wear the clothes that the master gave them to wear for the wedding banquet. It is for us. In other words, we have all been given gifts and talents and everything, not just to be good, but to be better. Be good, but to be better. Alam niyo po, doon sa maganda naming retreat house, yung Calarwega, yung sa tindahan doon sa baba, yung souvenir shop, I remember meron doon isang poster na binibenta, na hindi mabenta-benta. Ang nakalagay po doon sa poster na yon is, what I am is God's gift to me. What I will become is my gift back to God. We haven't given much, and therefore we can be more. The gospel is indeed very interesting. Ang daming po pwedeng pagnilayan, but I invite you to reflect on two things. How tolerant are we when it comes to dealing with one another? And pangalawa, what are we doing with the gifts that God has given to all of us?